Hi, my name is Doug Bollinger. I am a theater and film instructor at the Ocean County Performing Arts Academy. So on the feature film Rock, Paper, Scissors, I co-wrote, co-produced, and directed. So Rock, Paper, Scissors is the story of a couple who are at a crossroads in their relationship. They are not entirely sure if they're gonna stick together or not. And before they really decide what to do next, they are the victims of a home invasion. And that horrific event forces them to kind of reevaluate who they are and their relationship, and they ultimately find a unique therapist that convinces them the only way they're going to get better is if they do something about this trauma themselves. They interpret that as getting revenge. So I know that I had worked on a couple of other feature films, and I wanted to do one that kind of explored the idea of a couple and their relationship in the context of dealing with something really terrible and what that would do to them. And the idea actually started with just an image, and it was the image of a husband and a wife facing each other, bound and looking at each other, and obviously in some kind of distress. And it was that image that the whole story kind of came from. I recruited a good friend who had always been wanting to write, and he's really smart and he's a good writer, but he hadn't done it before. So I recruited him to write the script with me, so that was step one. So Josh Lee and I wrote the script over the course of a few months. We then started putting the production together. We got a team together, directed photography, crew, etc. Started casting and ended up with our lead first, and then we worked from there and put together the cast, which is mostly made up of people that I worked with. Looking back at it, it's a bigger, better project than I thought it was. So, for example, when we put it together and thought, hey, we're going to shoot this in a couple of weeks, that'll be done, we'll do it quick and then start to put it together. After a day or two of shooting, we realized everything is better than we thought. So we kind of concluded, all right, we're going to actually take our time. We're not going to do this quickly, which extended it years of work, but it made it ultimately a better project. So if I could start over, I would have been more confident in the project and in the story that we were telling, and then we would have known that we were going to take our time from the beginning. We kind of decided that after a few days of shooting, where we thought, oh wow, this is better than we thought. So that's the main thing that I would have done differently. Now, it's what do we do with it? It's who do we send it to? What film festival do we get into? Are we going to put it on what platforms, etc.? So although that ultimately is super rewarding because people will see it, it's the toughest for me. We're at the point where we have a few more festivals we're going to do in the winter and spring. We're currently in a Sydney Film Festival, Sydney, Australia. We have an offer to be in one in the spring. So we're gonna probably spend the next few months, film festivals, there, wrap that chapter up. Then what? Then we put it on platforms. The most likely scenario for this would be to be on platforms like Amazon, iTunes, different video on demand services like Google Play or PlayStation, or some of the cable network companies, cable companies have video on demand. So those are the most likely spots for this film, and then we see what happens. We see if people watch it, we see if people like it. Whenever you watch a film and you see the credits, written by, directed by, etc., there's a credit that says a film by so-and-so. So in this case, my first job that I directed, I asked the crew at the wrap party, like, hey, what do you know, credits? I don't really know anything about credits, so the order of them or what I'm really supposed to do. And they said, are you going to use that credit, a film by Doug Bollinger? Because a lot of directors, that's a legitimate credit. And I said, I don't know, I didn't think about it. They said, well, we hope you don't, because it's never a film by one person, ever. So I personally just thought, you know what, that's something that I'm not going to do, because I realized there's never one person that does this. There's no way I could do any of this without all of these people that are committed, and I trust them, and they're smart and they're creative, and that's why we think we can kind of tell these stories, is because we got a group around us that are amazing and that I hope to work with again and again.